First of all, I want to welcome all of you to the Tannhauser Galleries. So if you want to just take a moment and look around, we are surrounded by vibrant paintings that really represent some of the most innovative, avant-garde European artists of the late 19th, early 21st centuries. One of those artists was Edouard Manet, and our project this morning is going to be to describe just one of his paintings. And my hope is that this will be as conversational as possible. I will be inviting you to participate, and please join me in this adventure. So to begin, we are standing in front of a large vertical framed oil painting. It is about 5.5 feet tall, 3 feet wide, maybe a little bit smaller than a twin-sized mattress. It was painted between 1877 and 1880 in Paris, and by the French artist Edouard Manet, and is titled Woman in Evening Dress. Woman in Evening Dress. And what we see before us, filling the center of the canvas, filling up most of the space, is a woman in a very elegant and apparently very fashionable for the time, black and white, vertical striped evening dress. In her left hand, she holds a Japanese fan, very fashionable for the day. And in addition to this, in addition to that being the primary subject of the painting, that role of main subject is kind of in battle or conflict with the dynamic brushstroke, energetic sort of style brushwork of Manet's painting. We see big, loose brushstrokes, particularly in the vertical stripes of the woman's fashion, and filling the background wall behind her, which consists of muddy browns, greens, small splashes of rose. The background wall behind her probably is meant to represent wallpaper that might represent a gardened trellis. So while we're inside, we might be reminded of the outside. But let's get to the woman of the hour herself. We're going to do a little bit more verbal description. I'm going to start at the top with her face and work down through her clothing. This is a personal side. I love Manet's faces, which is why I've decided to start with her face. And unlike a lot of other Manet's paintings, which you may be familiar with, a lot of his nudes, he's very famous for painting nudes. By contrast, this woman is fully clothed, and the only part of her flesh we can really see is her face, and it's quite a face. Her skin is peach-toned, she has rosy cheeks, pink lips together, heart-shaped. Her auburn hair is styled with short bangs, and the rest is pulled back on her head into a bun. Her round, dark eyes are open, alert, but without much expression. She doesn't give us much hint into what she might be feeling or thinking at this moment, which may be part of my own personal appeal and interest in this artwork. As we move down her body, we see that she is wearing a very tightly cinched vest, buttoned in the middle, and we may be reminded that this is a woman who is corseted. She's wearing a corset under that dress, which is one of the only reasons she can have this impossibly tiny waist. I believe she is sitting, but we can't see what she's sitting on. Her full skirted hips cover up whatever it is she might be leaning on. She wears black fitted gloves that cover her hands and her forearms. And her left hand gently, oh so gently, holds a Japanese fan. But it's not up, it's not in use, it's not being played with flirtatiously. In this case, it's held very gently, as if it could almost fall right out of the canvas, right out of the edge of the painting. And in fact, Manet has used one of the most popular conventions of the time. He's cropped the image. The fan is cut right in half at the right edge of the painting. Let's spend just a moment and think about her pose. Does anyone notice anything specific or anything unusual about the way she's sitting?
I actually have a hard time going one way or the other. Is she actually sitting? Is she standing?
Yeah.
There's sort of an awkwardness to her pose.
It's very awkward. A friend of mine described this. It's almost as if she's sitting side saddle. She's a little bit leaning to the right. We can't see her left leg. I like to imagine it may be outstretched below her. It's covered by the skirt, her long skirt, so we can't tell. But her back is so straight. It's almost as if she's got a straight rod running from the top of her neck all the way down to the bottom. The mystery is, I don't know if this is the way she sits or if this is all about the corset, right? I don't know if anyone here has experience wearing a corset. I don't, but I imagine wearing something like that, very difficult to breathe. So she is tilted just slightly forward. Her arms are stretched out before her. Her right arm, if we want to follow that line, gently rests on a table, an end table to her right. Again, this table has been cropped. We can't see the whole thing, but we might see that just beyond her hand is a basket full of red rosy things. They may be flowers, they may be fruit, but the red rosiness of the flowers or the fruit may bring us back to the rosiness of her cheeks, the bit of rosy splashes in the wallpaper below us. At this point, I'd like to pause again and invite, I don't want to go too far with my own description. Would anyone like to add any comments, things they're seeing, or questions? How can we help fill out this painting just a little bit more for your own pleasure and enjoyment? Yes?
I was thinking maybe because of where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
I'm really drawn into the painting with the dress that really is cropped in the bottom right. It's very dramatic.
Yeah.
It really pulls you in because it's a sort of mass of very active, dynamic brush strokes and seems to be sort of an entranceway, almost like a pathway into the painting.
Beautifully said. I'll do my best to dive into that idea. It's Ronnie or Missy?
This is Ronnie.
Missy, Ronnie, thank you. Missy's inviting us into the artwork in another way, sort of through the bottom, noting that the bottom left corner of her skirt is also cropped, using that technique again. And the flat, exciting expanse of her skirt is almost like another pathway, kind of up and out and into the painting. Beautiful. And that those dynamic shifts and patterns and sort of planes of the skirt also give us another hint of maybe there's a little movement going on beyond the stiffness of the pose. There's a leg under there somewhere and it's doing something, we hope.
I can see the
Pardon me? Oh, yes. Yes, thank you for pointing that out. One of my most favorite moments, thank you, Kathleen, is if we follow the path of her, the left leg on our left side, we see that the skirt does end it's about a foot from the bottom of the canvas, and the top end of her foot, peeks out below the skirt and into what I think is a kind of a beautiful muddy mess of dark browns and golds, kind of the shadowed region down below. And I'll end maybe with, adding on to that, is that this woman in evening wear, that's kind of the only clue we get from the title about her. We can assume many things. She may be out to the opera, perhaps she's married, but she's definitely not shown in many of the other roles that women were shown in this time. She's not clearly a prostitute, for example, a very popular subject for women at the time. And she's paired really beautifully with a good friend of hers, another work by Manet that's right next door, that if we were going to continue, it would be a lovely stop to go, where we see a woman not from the front, but from the behind, in a state of undress, where we can see her corset. And if we look around kind of the rest of the space, we can see so many different kinds of versions of women and kind of get a bigger sense for the complexity of women's roles at that time.
If you were going to do a reenactment of this,
Yes.
I guess the easiest way would be to have people squeeze their waists and then squeeze their necks. It's open in between.
Oh, yes. Let's try that. Wait, what's your name? Barbara. Barbara had a great suggestion that one way to really embody this pose and as a clue into how she might be feeling would be to take, we'll just start with the first one, to take our hands and really put them at our waist and begin to squeeze. And then squeeze a little more, because she is really, that waist is impossibly tiny. And just get a sense for, I don't know, does anyone want to comment on how that felt or how it helped you maybe connect with the woman in the painting? Ashley?
It's much more difficult to read, but you might explain her kind of stiffness of posture, like if they're really focused on getting enough breath.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, she may just have to concentrate on breathing. Could take all the energy she has. Yeah, Joan? Oh, okay. I want to thank all of you so much for diving into this work with me and really helping cultivate a verbal description together. So it's a real pleasure. Thank you.